separate motion on that?
Yes, yeah, we'll do that. So this is the second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Those are moved. Next, continue on the minutes.
I make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we table all the executive session ones because Joyce isn't here, and I brought a couple of corrections to her attention.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next order of business is the Friends of Rossiter Farm for the musical extravaganza here. Mr. King, can you come forward, please?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good evening to you.
Good evening. Thank you. I'd like to submit a letter to the board at this time from Ellen Gordon, Grammy on the Go.
Oh, great. Yeah, that we're going to take care of it, I think, in Old New Bid, correct, Michael?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we could do it here. No,
This is a second.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Well, at this time, I would like to formally request that we allow Grammy on the Go hot dogs the right to park in front of the town hall from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. for our musical extravaganza on March 31st. As the letter states there, I already checked with the police chief and he's fine with it. He doesn't have a problem with it, is what he said. And outside of that, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank the Board of Selectmen and all the good citizens of Clinton for helping us pull this together. It's been a fantastic community-wide effort, and it's been there's been a lot of input from OSAC, and the Friends have done a fantastic job of pulling it together. And I'm just looking forward to it, and I just wanted to take this briefly just to thank everybody involved. And just to also ask if the board has any questions about the event. And also, I'd just like to determine the parking spot for Grammy on the Go, and have that particular spot reserved, maybe with some traffic cones, up until we can get her parked there on the 31st.
So what spot are you thinking?
Well, I'd like to have it on this side of the street with the window facing the sidewalk. Probably right here on this corner, that first parking spot in.
That's a good spot.
Between the library and...
The only question from a safety point of view?
Yes.
I mean, just because it's a corner,
Yes.
and that's a very, a lot of near misses there.
Mhm.
How would you control, that someone's not...
Well, we're gonna
can't
have
see
a-
over that,
Yes, we have a safety officer on duty from the police department, and we'll make sure it's back far enough from the corner, and we'll have some traffic cones towards the end of the vehicle, and it's a relatively small vehicle. It's van body size. It's not a huge vehicle.
So it'll fit in one spot.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions about the event?
No, I know all about it.
Yeah, I know. You want to brief us on it?
Well, I guess, what's your feel, what's the pulse of the community as far as ticket sales?
Well, there's a lot of excitement, and we've done well with the sales. We're featuring a band called Burning Daylight. We're featuring a band called the Claddagh Kids. We also have the Dave Johnson Trio. We have Jimmy McNally from the Old Timers Restaurant. We have the Sudbury Ancient Fife and Drum Corps for outside before the event, and I think they're going to do a little bit on the inside as well. We have the chief of the Nipmuc Nation, who is going to do a little speech before the event.
That's a new tribe, right?
Yes. Well, they're in the process of being recognized. They were based here in central Massachusetts before colonial settlement.
But I thought that they were recognized, something happened just recently with that.
Yes.
Something that's going towards that or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're being recognized at this point as, at the federal level, as a tribe that was here when the first settlers arrived. We've got Billy Walsh, a young fellow by the name of Matthew Carlin, Paul Della Valle, and the Kadosh Band from the Brazilian community. We're trying to have this be a multicultural musical event to bring the community together as well. And of course, we've got John Weeks and some folks from Sterling, from the Sterling Music Exchange. And
John
also
Weeks,
we've
the
got,
reporter?
excuse me?
John Weeks, the reporter?
Yes.
What's he play?
He plays guitar. He's got a couple of CDs out already. He's a pretty talented young fella. And lastly, we've got Armin Guidi's mandolin. And we've got a fella to play that. And I think that'll be a nice little touch. 'Cause for a lot of years, Armin Guidi played it for a lot of people in Clinton.
It sounds like it's gonna be a well-attended event. It sounds like it.
Yes.
We want to encourage people to come out, and that's Saturday, March 31st.
Yes.
Saturday, what?
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Yes.
So
Well, we'll be out here after 5:30 or so. If people want to come early and enjoy the fife and drum corps, it'll be quite exciting.
what time are they coming right at 7? Or?
They're going to be on at 6 o'clock,
Okay, so 6
6:30.
o'clock. Yeah, okay.
They can purchase a hot dog if
Yes.
we have... soda? Yeah, and a soda, yeah.
Grammy on the go will have plenty of hot dogs.
Yes,
That's good.
Probably get a spot for it then.
You have a question?
no, I just want to make a comment.
Okay.
I'd like to thank Robert Keane for being the liaison from OSAC to Friends of Rusher's Farm and helping to make this happen.
My pleasure, Jim.
Without you, I don't think it would have, so thank you.
Thank you.
You think Glory on TV also too?
Yes, oh yes, there's an informational, it's 23 minutes long, and it's aired 4 times a day on Channel 8.
Okay, good. Well, again,
Thank you for
March
reminding me.
31st on Saturday. It starts at, it's supposed to be 7 officially, but it's 6, I guess the fight will be out there. Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
Robert.
Okay. Next order of business would be administrative business. Michael, you wanna do that?
For a few administrative items for the board. First, we have late night closing for the month of April.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved as presented, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's passed. Next item, Michael?
The next is a request from the Clinton Neshoba Parent-Child Home Program to use the chamber room here for a statewide meeting of PCHP coordinators. I guess it's not something they've done in quite a while, so they expect a lot of people from around the state to come here and have an update on different issues that they're all put in their program.
Did you give any more detail besides just this letter? I'm just trying to get an understanding what exactly they do.
What they do here.
The group, yeah.
Yeah, they're in the early childhood program
Okay.
down at the administration
Right.
building, down
Right.
at the old elementary school. And what they do is, it's a grant program, and they actually do early intervention at home with children.
Okay.
They go to the home. I think it's under school age children, so
Right.
not before they get into the school.
Right.
And they actually go and work with the
The
child
screenings and
and the
things.
parent, both at home, and they do build on different core curriculum building for the children to get them ready for school. Linda Hughes is the coordinator here in Clinton.
And she works very hard at that stuff. She does a good job with that.
Yeah, and she's the one putting this together with, again, to try and get the coordinators from across the region together to talk about the issues that they all deal with and the challenges and how they're coming up with their solutions. And I think they're all looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good event. And down in their current building, they wouldn't have a site
Right.
big enough to host them, and they thought this would be about the appropriate size room that they would need.
It's a good central point too for what they need to do and stuff like that. And it's a good opportunity to do a lot of stuff for our kids, so.
Right.
Okay.
So this is tomorrow lunchtime, right?
Tomorrow.
Right.
It's from 10 to 1, isn't it? This is 10 to 1.
10 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So move is presented, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
The motion's passed, so they're all set with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next is a submittals by the Town Hall Youth Commission for 2 events that they have recommending approval. One is for a candidates forum here at Town Hall Auditorium on April 23rd, and the other is a Sweet 15 birthday party on June 30th.
And both of these have been approved by the town hall commission, you'll see that on the application. Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
So move is presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Being none, any question? No.
I just noticed there was a Board of Health initials there scribbled in. I didn't know if,
That's something new now with food. They have to sign off on it.
yeah. Is there a sign off on that? I didn't,
Well, I don't see it either, but I'm sure they won't get in here without it.
Right.
so,
Maybe they haven't brought the menu downstairs yet.
We can make the motion with a condition that they get
Yeah,
approved.
I'll retract my motion and make my motion okay for Wachusett Chamber and make my motion conditional upon Board of Health approval on the Sweet 16 party.
The second on that?
second.
Okay, under discussion. Is that, Bob, you were on the Board of Health before.
Yeah.
Is that an actual requirement? Does it-
It's a, yeah, it's a common practice that they instituted back in the year 2004.
But is it a requirement?
Yeah, it's a state law. They need to
Okay.
know what's being served. They need to know that there's a certified food safe,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, makes sense. Just want to make sure we're not adding garages into it.
no.
Okay, great, thank you, Robin, for that. Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Can you notify that particular group that they need that Board of Health approval?
Sure.
Thank you. Alrighty, next item, Michael?
The next is a request from the Clinton Tribute Road Race Committee for permission to hang a banner on High Street from April 21st to May 15th before their event.
And that's more than 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, that's more than 2 weeks.
I mean,
What's the, do we have a bylaw or a
we
policy?
had a deposit was 2 weeks, but I mean, if there's no one else gonna be doing anything, I don't see why we couldn't do it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, are we allowed to extend that window? or-
Right, yeah, I think the basic, I think as the chairman indicated, the basic policy would be for 2 weeks to give everyone a fair shake, but if there isn't any use at all and the board wants to extend that, it's up to the board's discretion, but it's just that if if someone did get approval, it would be for 2 weeks and to let someone else put it in there.
So you're not aware of anything in the pipeline?
Nothing in the
No,
pipeline.
I think with this current one for the event this weekend, I believe when that one comes down, I don't think there's another one coming up.
And this is an event, it's a very good event that we've done for years and years and years, and it's people come to it from all over the place to run in that race. You know, so the more publicity, the better.
I think
But
the
yes,
next
that's a good
one,
point.
the master plan would go up, and then after that, I don't think there's anything before their event, so that's why when that one comes down for the 21st, that'll be a 3-week period, so
Yeah,
they would only need, the policy would say 2, but there'd be a week in between, there would be no request for it. If you wanted to extend it to the 3, if it's between two blocks there.
yeah, I have no issue with it. I just, you know how
We did have a policy.
some groups might come up and say, well, geez, you gave them 3 weeks, and,
Right.
you know, the situation is unique because there's nothing in the pipeline.
Right.
And, you know, it makes sense to use those weeks that aren't going to be used, so.
Exactly, yeah, so you're right, I don't think somebody coming up 6 months ahead of time could say we want 3 weeks, but if it gets closer to their event and there's an idle week that there's nothing there, I suppose it could be extended at that time, and that's what this is, there's already an approval now, there's one coming, and then there's nothing before their event for 3 weeks, so.
Now, when is that actual race, the 12th?
Right.
Okay. Alrighty, what's the pleasure of the board?
So move is presented.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Well, just remind everybody that the race is May 12th of this year. No other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So that motion's passed. Now we have the mobile hot dog truck.
Already, the next item was just taken care of by Mr. Kane.
No, we didn't vote on that, did we?
Oh, you did?
No, I don't think we did.
Oh, okay.
We can accept the formal motion on the mobile hot dog truck.
I'll make a motion that we allow Grammy on the Go hot dogs to be parked in front of the town hall for the musical event on Saturday, March 31st from 5:30 to 7:30.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any further discussion? We did that before. If there's no discussion, all in favor? Aye. That motion's passed.
The next two items were a transfer request for the police department. The police chief did have another commitment this evening, so if the board wanted to table those until the next meeting where the chief would come in and discuss them.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we table as indicated by town administrator.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second, under discussion, though.
Go ahead.
I mean, we had approved, a transfer of up to 40,000. So, I mean, from our standpoint, I still think, the board probably has the same position on that. I don't know, I mean, the finance committee had only allowed for what, half that amount?
Reduced it to 20, yeah, and now he's asking for another 30, so, yeah, so it would be,
Total of 54,000.
there would be some authorization left as to what the board already approved, but then I think there would be $10,000 in addition to even that first authorization that he'd be looking for as well.
Okay. So when's our next meeting?
Well,
Probably next week.
I mean, under discussion, he's got it, sorry.
No, go ahead.
He's got this broken down into two separate ones?
One for expenses, one for overtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out to a-
Right.
One is the overtime, which
That's a huge
we have already, the board's already addressed. And then there is another one for expenses. And he did indicate that he had some more vehicle repairs again this week that were unanticipated. So he's pretty much,
Did he say what those repairs were? Did they have to do with the other thing that we mentioned before?
yeah, I don't think it wasn't anything that was currently talked about. I think it was something new. But yeah, what it was.
Okay.
You know,
We can ask the
it was
chief.
front-end work and
Okay.
something else. It was $3,200. I remember the amount, the figure, but I think it was maybe
So-
transmission and the front-end work.
So just, I mean, still under discussion, more of the policy understanding is, we approved the up to 40,000. Now, my understanding is only 20,000 got transferred. So would this request actually request for 30 or 10?
This is for 30.
Yeah, but why would it?
Well, yeah.
20.
We already
You mean
approved 21 before.
20 of
No.
it should be,
I see what you're saying.
20 has already
It's
been
already
approved
Right,
by
'cause we already
us.
did that once already, so.
Yeah. So I'm saying this
So it
should
would be for
probably,
an additional 10, right?
yeah. I just want to make sure that, we're not giving it an additional
Right,
30.
right, right, exactly. Yeah.
Well, see, I'm of the assumption that because the finance committee
Yeah, additional.
denied that transfer, that extra 20, then they have to re-request it again, what they need. That's how it's normally been done, correct?
Right.
So do we have a letter from the finance committee or some kind of action that,
It's just this form here. So that form, would the department head would sign it, then the selectman would review and sign it, and then the finance committee would sign it as well.
Right, but when they signed, they're saying they only approved 20,000, they must amend that approval, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, on that, at the bottom of the form there,
Okay, I got you.
see, they say how much of the request they approved down below. I
Okay,
get a
so-
copy of that.
so that closes out that request, so this is a new request
Exactly.
with the other, okay.
Exactly, yeah. But you're right, it wouldn't be for 30 above 40, it would be for 30 plus the 20.
Can you ask the chief on the court time? If you could break that up a little bit, exactly what courts and stuff like that?
Sure.
A little bit more detail on actual court time.
and the same thing for the miscellaneous expenses. I mean, I know there were some cruiser parts and things here, but almost $25,000 is an awful big chunk of money,
Cruiser, that kind of money.
Well, he did explain the cost to us the last time he was here?
He
said he was gonna
That was only the fuel system stuff. That was like $6,000.
Net?
Yeah, I mean, this is for almost $25,000, so I'd at least like to know where it's all going.
Okay.
All right,
So,
so,
again,
Yeah.
so, I mean, how does so the money hasn't been transferred, but does that mean they don't work overtime, or that they don't, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah, I think if it's something that's critical that needs to be, hours that need to be worked, they're gonna have to work, and if they work, they're obligated to get paid. So,
it's really a moot point. I mean, they got a couple $1,000 in here, but if they,
It's a
you know,
formality.
yeah,
but the chief could
the
order,
shifts would have to be covered, because we wouldn't be able to, you know, not.
just, this is for the auditors.
yeah, the problem with that is if people request vacation, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but they request vacation, which is something that people have earned and they deserve, I guess if it gets that bad, the chief can start refusing stuff to be able to staff, right? But do you want to get to that situation where you're denying people vacation that they've earned? You know, I mean, because people, you know, they have it, they earned it, you know, should they not be taking it? I mean, those are issues, to your point, it's kind of like a mute point. You're giving them something, but now the chief originally requested more money because he knew it right to begin with. It got cut back, now he needs it, and now we're kind of saying, you know, the finance committee's kind of saying no. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm
Well,
with
from
you.
my perspective, I thought we were adequately warned.
Right.
I just want to understand, you know, the procedure,
Right,
you know, because of what happened with the finance committee, that's all.
right. I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? So it's a motion to table in a second, correct? No other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The next three items are the monthly reports for police, fire, and public works, for the board to review.
A motion to
February.
accept.
Make a motion that we accept the police monthly report as presented.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Or questions or comments? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion's passed.
Aye.
The motion to accept the fire report?
As presented, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the fire chief's report as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
And there's a discussion, under the ambulance account, just an eye catcher. It was a total of $44,136.19. They only collected $29,000. That's a big deficit, big discrepancy.
How?
Just for that month.
What's the aging on that?
I don't know. It just
Is
says the
30
monthly.
days, 40 days, you know what I'm saying?
I think it might have been what was billed, because I think.
For that
that's
month.
put in the monthly bill,
Okay.
yeah, because I think the aging, the accounts receivable,
Mhm,
I
yeah,
think
okay.
is pretty large, substantial.
It is.
So it wouldn't be just, that's just
Right,
monthly, that's just
right.
a monthly,
How do we go after that money, though, Michael?
well, I think the chief,
I don't know.
I think the chief is reviewing that. I spoke to him recently about it, and he's reviewing it to see which debts might be collectible and how aggressive, you know, he should be about going after that. Some of it lasts, it's a big number, but it lasts over many years.
Yeah.
So he's got to review it to see how far back he, you know, realistically can go and look at specific accounts to see if it's a debt that's not going to be paid or should be written off, and then maybe have a master list that he would then go after and aggressively pursue.
But who makes the decision to write off these uncollectible debts?
Good question.
I mean, there's collection agencies that, for this kind of stuff, especially for the medical stuff.
So that gotta be, a lot of that stuff has to be insurance covered.
Sure.
Some of them may not be, but a lot of it should be covered by insurance.
Right, yeah, that's the billing, the payment that you get quickly would be the insurance payment, and it's a difference of either someone that's uninsured or the difference between what the insurance doesn't cover.
Right.
Those are the numbers that you kind of fall short on.
Could we work on a breakdown of that? Could he start showing us some hardcore figures?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know he's been focusing on that, so he should have a lot of data on it, so I'll ask him.
Thank you.
Okay, so-
Yeah, I mean, are we still discussing this?
Yes, we are.
I mean, one thing, since I've been on the board, is there's been the same detail in his report about something being reviewed by the solicitor. and he's still awaiting input on that. I don't know, maybe Dennis can comment
There
on
he
it.
is. Right on cue.
Dennis, Selectman Florentino has a question for you.
Hi. Just to, and, I go through all these reports, and for the fire chief's report, his monthly report, he always has a section on the details section about,
I've previously met with the chief on that. I've given you some information on it for some additional work that needs to be done on it before we can file something. But if you want, I can brief you at the next meeting, in executive session on potential litigation.
okay, so he's, I just want to make sure.
We've met previously, and we've
Yeah.
exchanged information with some additional things that I need to do before we can actually file,
Okay.
So our next meeting, we can do an executive session.
if you want to, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Okay. Any other discussion on this report? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And next report is the Public Works monthly report for the superintendent has submitted to us. What's the pleasure of the board on that report?
Make a motion that we accept this presented by Chris.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it with,
Any discussion?
it's a very good report.
He's very detailed.
I go through it.
He's like very on top
Yeah.
of that stuff.
He really is on top of it, so
Yeah, it's very,
it's
very
good.
readable.
It's very much appreciated,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. If no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So that's passed. Old and new business, Michael?
This is the first item coming up on preparing for a town meeting. Just wanted to ask the board if they'd be willing to open up the warrant for article submissions. We can then put a notice to the town departments to submit their warrant articles and a notice for the citizens if there are any citizen petition. But generally, we just have a basic vote of the board just to open up the warrant, and then maybe for about a month, and then over the period of the next month, submittals will come in, and if they submit them to my office, I will then put them on a draft, and then at the deadline, I'll submit a draft to the board, and then the board will just go through it, one by one, and determine which articles will remain on for town meeting, and then it'll go for legal review, and then be submitted to the finance committee for the recommendation. So this is just the very beginning of the process, just to open up the warrant to allow people to formally start submitting and have a deadline that we know when we can actually cut off accepting the articles.
Okay. Michael, just a question, and maybe, Select Frontier is new. But a lot of people have questions like, what the order of the warrant articles are. Can you give a brief synopsis on that?
Well, generally, what I do is I put the town business first. So if we have our annual standard articles of the budget and our compensating balance, the social services, the weed, all the annual articles are the first, like 7 or how many that are on the that we need to get done. Next, what I generally do is put on town business of issues that are submitted by other town departments. And then after that, it's usually first come, first serve. So whatever I get in, I try to put it on as it's received. And then citizen petitions we usually put at the end.
Right.
Yeah, so I kind of have a method, but it's nothing,
Well, I mean,
it's nothing set in stone.
Right. But
so
the
it's
first,
just kind
but
of
there's a couple that have to be on there first, though, right? I thought it was like the first one and the second one.
Yeah, I mean, I think, not necessarily, but I
That's just
think
how we've
it's
been
just
doing it.
historically what the first number, you try to get the budget done, but that's the most important thing we
Right.
need for the town meeting. So I think just historically, we try to put those annual articles on at the beginning, and then beyond that, it's kind of based on
Right.
who gets them in first, or if the board feels it should be a higher priority, because the board sets the warrant, so
Right.
however the selectmen feel they want it to have, I just kind of set it up as they come in,
Right.
pretty much.
But the system's been working for
Yeah.
many years.
Because then there are articles that don't get on or don't make it, or are withdrawn by departments, so
Right.
then it kind of shuffles it all up again after that, so.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michael. Any other questions?
I just appreciate the explanation. But I did go through town,
I figured you did. I
that
know,
but
but,
last
you know.
year. Yeah, so but I do appreciate the recap.
I remember you were there. It's been a whole year ago. Okay.
I mean,
Generally, we do about 4 weeks, so
Right, that's
if we're
what
going
we
to
normally
open up
do.
tonight and then say whatever, the fourth Wednesday from here from now. And then it gives time for us to get notice out to departments and then just start getting them in. I keep a folder, and then after the deadline, then we just put them all on a document to print them off for the board, so.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move that we open the warrant tonight
Okay, for 4 weeks?
and end it 4 weeks from tonight.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
yes. How about,
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in favor of that, but 4 weeks plus, I mean, maybe add another week to that, is that?
Sure. I'll withdraw my motion, we'll open the warrant tonight.
Let's have some discussion
Okay.
first. You want to extend 5 weeks, and the reason for that would be?
Just ends in April, the Wednesday, first Wednesday in May. Right?
Well, it's when we have meetings, right, we have to close it. So
Anybody got a calendar?
I think it closes automatically.
Yeah.
We don't have the motion to close it, right?
And any time, even after the deadline, it's a selectmen's warrant, so at any time, the board can make additions or modifications to the warrant.
May
whenever.
2nd would be 5 weeks.
Right.
So you're saying that's too long? or-
No, I'm just kind of curious, because normally we do it for 4, we could do it for 5, I mean,
I
Either
mean,
way. I just want to understand what your logic was behind that, so.
well, I think we'd have it buttoned up before the election, April's a busy month for me.
Right. Like, I guess the reason I was thinking 4, because if you do 4, right, then you have that, you've got 2 weeks before, to be followed. Because you're gonna get them, I got to organize them all, right?
Right.
And then we have to get them, and then we have to go through them. And sometimes they're pretty large articles, and sometimes, we have just a meeting just to get through that sometimes.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean,
I'm okay either way.
I mean, I'm out 1 week in April, that's,
Right, I knew that, I was aware of that, so.
under discussion, it is closing fairly early, right? Because we have typically town meetings in mid-June, right? So
Well, hopefully we're
it's
trying to
closing in
get
April.
town meeting early, like we should try to do.
Right.
So if we can get, if we're ahead of schedule to the warrant, then maybe we can get the town meeting done quicker, and that kind of helps everybody else out, so. I mean, I'm always in favor of trying to get town meeting closer to the real deadline versus here in June, we're still doing trying to do town meeting, so.
Right.
That's why I would try to get close that warrant sooner, then you can try to do work getting town meeting done a little earlier, before people go on vacation and everything else.
The official date's what, the third week in May, I think
Right.
it's supposed to be. anyway.
Right, so,
Yeah.
so if, I just would love to be able to try to get closer to what the goal is.
Yeah.
So that's why I would suggest the 4, but I'll go with what the board wants to do. So I guess I would be in favor of the 4 weeks just for that reason. That's my only reason. But if we need 5, that's okay too.
I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I guess 4 starting on the 4th, right?
4 starting on the 4th, that means a week, open it for a week from today?
Yeah. Well,
I guess I don't understand why we can't open it. I guess, why do we need,
I don't know, it's just prep time, preparation time, just how things go, how many meetings we're gonna have between now and when it's closed?
probably a couple, try to get it done quickly. And that could all change too,
Okay, so I guess I'm fine with it.
So, any other discussion? I mean, historically, we've done 4 weeks, right, Michael? Historically?
Generally,
Yeah.
yeah, but,
There's no unset
yeah,
rule that you
there's no
can't do
rule
longer.
one way or the other, whatever you feel is best.
So, there's a motion, and a second for 4 weeks. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So, warrant's open. Thank you, gentlemen.
And while we're on that subject, if I may,
Go ahead.
this has been hand-delivered to me today. First warrant article is the petition from the senior center.
Okay, so, Michael, I'll leave this here for you.
I got the copy
Is
for
that
Mike.
up, Michael?
Yeah, sorry, Michael.
Everybody?
I got one, Steve. Oh, that's from
If we
us.
can
Yep.
inform the public, if they could please send all the warrant articles to our town solicitor so we can get them all to one focal point. It's just a lot easier administratively if we can just get them to our town solicitor directly. It just makes the process run a lot smoother. I would humbly request that from everybody that submits them. Thank you. Anything else, Alex?
Nope, that's all.
Next item, Michael?
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the Master Plan Committee. They're having their community participation forum on April 21st, Saturday from 9 to 1. Right. And they're looking to do some advanced publicity. And one is to put up a banner, that the board had voted to put up a banner over High Street, and they were just asking if there could be some assistance with the funding to help pay for some of the outreach to get as many people here as possible from town to that event. Because the more input and ideas and goals that we can get from the citizens of town, the better the end product will be with the document that's being put together.
Pleasure of the board.
So, I mean,
Discussion on the discussion, yeah.
well, I'll make a motion that we approve the allocation of, it looks about, I'd say, $400
Max.
max
Okay.
to cover the
Would
banner.
be-
That was my question.
Yeah.
That's for the banner.
No, the banner would be about $3.
Okay.
And there was a mailing of about $45,
Okay.
so it'd be currently $350 to $400,
Yeah.
so it should be not to exceed $400.
Yeah, you probably got something in your mailbox.
Mm.
Yeah, you got a letter.
Okay.
So the motion is for $400 to be
Second.
appropriated.
Is that gonna be enough?
We're gonna make that work. This is a one-time sign banner,
Okay.
so
Okay. Ready. Okay, is there a second to that?
I second that, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
any discussion, or further discussion on that matter? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna go back a minute to the
Thank you.
town warrant. You're welcome. Just want to clarify, I think I said town solicitor, and I meant to say our town administrator, for any warrant article directed to Michael Ward, the town administrator. Thank you. Michael, next one?
The next is the next two actually are, well, I didn't take them individually, but the next is a letter of resignation from Mr. Robert Kilgus, resigning from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Want to do them all together?
Sure, then the next letter is received from Mr. Richard Friel, who is current chairman of the Fuller Field Commission, and he is resigning the 1st of April.
Is there a motion to accept these resignations?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, regretfully.
Are you doing that, or am I?
Okay, John.
I would make a motion to regretfully accept the ZBA resignation and the Fullerfield resignation, and thank these people for their
The service?
contribution and service to the town.
Okay, there's a second to that? motion?
Second.
Any discussion? I just want to echo the sentiments of the board. We want to thank them for their service to the town. It's not easy sometimes. It's a lot of work and this time that they put into this stuff, so thank you very much. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of accepting these resignations? Aye.
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 Okay,
We
so,
want to make a motion to perhaps post these,
yeah, I think we already made a motion to advertise for there was another zoning board resignation.
Alternate, right.
And there was also the Town Hall Use Committee, and neither one of
Right.
those have been advertised yet.
Right. There was one question on that, is to see how the board want to handle, there's an alternate currently on the ZBA, Mr. Sanders,
Yeah.
and he's interested in being appointed full member. So I don't know if the board wanted to entertain that, or just advertise and then have that as part of the mix.
I think we should go through the process, Mike.
if we advertise, he can apply for it.
Right.
I mean, he's already a member of that anyway. I mean, that should count for something.
Okay, good.
He's already the alternate. I think we should at least advertise it.
Okay,
I think,
good.
I mean,
So then,
that's my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
good. Okay, so we will,
No problem for that. Okay, so shall I make a motion?
Yeah.
I'm going to make a motion that we advertise for the ZBA position vacated by Mr. Kilgus, and for the Fullerfield Commission for the position vacated by Mr. Friel.
Okay.
Those will be on Friday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is
May
this-
I add that, could we send a letter off to, especially to Mr. Friel? He served on the Fuller Field Commission a very long time. And I
Okay.
think
Okay,
of a
I'll-
letter of
okay.
thanks.
And I will,
Can we do that as a separate motion?
Okay, sure.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion on that? Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now you want, somebody want to?
I'd like to, I think we should get in the habit of patting people on the back, you know, the unsung heroes that put their time in that nobody knows are doing their time. So especially Mr. Friel, he's been down there a long time working with that group. I think we at least owe him a nice letter that he can hang on his wall.
Would echo those sentiments, and we should do that for everybody, I'm sure
Yeah.
that Mr. Kilgus also. anybody.
Sure.
Okay, any, it's a motion?
Yes,
Is there
sir.
a second to that?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else?
The next item is a request from the Economic Development Director. There's a company, Scholastic Book Fairs, which is currently housed in Marlboro. They expressed interest in relocating here in Clinton, and the representative from the company would like to come meet with the Board of Selectmen at one of the upcoming meetings to discuss some of their plans and maybe talk to the town about some incentives that might be available to allow them to make that move. So we just want to see if the board would be okay with having them come in, Don Lowe and this gentleman to come in before the board at the next meeting.
I would be in favor of anything that's going to stimulate our economy in this town. So I would say, my recommendation would be that we allow them to come forward with their ideas, and Donnie to work with them to do whatever we can to bring business to this town.
So moved.
Okay, so the motion, is there a second to that?
Second.
Any other discussions or comments to
I
that?
think it's great.
No, it's always great.
It's a very nice proposal that they've put together for the town.
Scholastic's a pretty well-known organization
Yeah,
too,
that's
so to get them to move into town, that's
35 full-time jobs.
very good. Yeah, plus 10 more potential.
That's great.
That's great, excellent.
Now maybe we can get a discount for our school, so they don't have to travel so far to ship it,
There you go.
Okay, so if no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next several items were informational to
Okay.
the board.
All right, thank you, Michael. Any committee reports? No committee reports?
No, but on that, can we talk about that one?
Which one?
The letter from Lancaster, I think it's a moot point because we all know now the process that you have to go through. And in their letter, they're referring back to the rifle range was deemed passive, but we all know now that that was not correct action taken, and so I think, we should disregard and start over.
Well, we got the letter.
Right.
We can read it, we don't have to act on it.
That's
All
all.
right. Okay, any committee reports, Bobby, anything?
No.
Sure, I got Master Plan Committee report. We're moving full steam ahead. We sent out letters to all the town boards and committee members. At least we attempted to reach all of them. I'm not sure, we might have missed a few folks. We're still working out the complete list. Inviting them to attend the public event that we're having on April 21st. It's a Saturday from 9 to 1 p.m. And, we value input from anyone that's, that's actively involved with the town, as well as citizens, taxpayers, and to be able to see, you can meet the consultant, you can see what we, where we are with the plan, and it gives you an opportunity to fill out surveys and provide feedback to the committee so that we can help shape the master plan in a fashion that, is collective input from the whole community, so.
And like Selectboard Forum Team State, that's a great opportunity for the public to come out and voice your opinion. This is the time to do it,
Yeah,
correct?
and it's at the Clinton High School.
Okay, Clinton High School.
It's Saturday, April 21st, 9 to 1.
Okay, so 21st of April, 9 to 1?
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for being on that committee.
Oh, sure, and
Take a lot-
I want to give
time.
actually, I do want to give a special thanks for Joyce, our secretary, because she did, she went the extra mile to actually, do all the nitty-gritty work of, printing all the letters, stuff in the envelopes, sticking them, getting the, postage taken care of.
Behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I did the computer work, which was easy, and so she made that happen very quickly before she went on her leave, her break, so really
Thank Joyce
appreciate
for
it.
that.
Yep, and thank the committee as well. The committee's great to work with, and they've been very proactive, so it's working out very well from my perspective.
Okay. Well, thank you. Anything else?
Open Space Committee, we met last week, we had a fairly short meeting. As you know, as everyone knows, I'm sure by now, we have the concert on Saturday night, and we're going to be meeting very shortly with Sudbury Valley trustees to talk to them about advertising and publicity for the purchase of Rauscher Farm. They're going to actually help us with a potential PowerPoint presentation so we can have a public hearing type of informational session prior to town meeting, possibly 2 of them. And that's about it. We're going to definitely work on that.
Little by little we get there, right?
Yep.
Okay, so no other,
Yeah,
committee
two more things, if I may.
committee reports?
No, old and new.
Okay, we kind of went by that already.
Well,
We'll
they're
go
in
back-
our-
We'll go back there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Good.
Have we heard anything, Tony, on the proposal for the NetVed issue?
Well, we did get a response from the Fishing and Access
Yeah.
Board, and, it was in our packet.
Right, they're gonna move forward, but I have one question. They went before the Conservation Commission and were shot down. Have they gotten the okay to go ahead?
I don't believe they have.
Okay.
That's our first correspondence that we
Right.
received from them
Yeah.
since we sent out the initial
Okay,
proposed agreement. And honestly, I'm disappointed by the response, but
yeah,
it does...
as well as I.
Yeah, it does leave an opening there for us to expand the site to meet the requirements that they've put forth to have a trailable access. But I think, we have to look at this and study it.
That's why I flagged it.
Yeah. I think we need to probably set up another executive session at some point to
Okay.
discuss, additional land or regarding that site, so.
Okay.
I actually have a question on that. If they don't have Conservation Commission okay to do anything there, right? Is there a state level Conservation Commission? I'm asking Mr. Sargent this question. Is there a state level Conservation Commission that can override the local Conservation Commission and do
Well,
this?
the DEP could potentially be involved. I mean, I'd have to look into it for you.
Yeah. I'm just curious on that because, if they were already told no by the Conservation Commission, right, and they're stating that they're going to go ahead with these plans, right, and they don't have Conservation Commission approval, can they still go ahead with the plans, via another state agency that would override local rule?
I haven't had a chance to look through all this stuff yet, so I'd have to look through stuff. I can brief you on it at the next meeting.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Anything else?
One other issue near and dear to my heart is, as you read in the paper, there's been PCBs found in our dam. And as a resident of Lower Grove Street, I'm very concerned in how the state is handling this, and I hope they keep the town very well abreasted to this situation. As Tony knows, we live on the water, we have animals, pets, we enjoy the pond, and they've fenced off the area now, and I hope somebody's paying close attention to this, because it's very important to the town as a whole, not just us as neighbors, but as a whole.
Yeah, I appreciate that the MWRA has actually come forth with this
Yes.
and made an immediate notice. I mean, it sounds like they inherited this problem.
Right, back to the
so,
50s, I guess.
Yeah, so,
Sounds like they're being very proactive about it.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not just letting it ride or anything,
Can you share anything on that, Michael?
No, other than, I know I spoke briefly with the executive director for the MWRA, and they did want to get the notice out to let people know. They were having a meeting with the employees of DCR as well that work there and may have some concerns about being exposed. And they're also doing some very detailed, thorough testing of the water. They've hired a licensed site professional. They're doing testing of the reservoir water, but they're also, they've indicated over the next 2 weeks that they're going to be doing some very detailed testing around the Clinton intake. So they haven't found any levels in the water yet. There are no PCB levels in the water.
With the soil, Mike, that they're doing, what troubles me is we have some old neighbors down there that plant gardens so close to the water, and there's apple trees that some of our neighbors enjoy. I'm wondering if in fact, is there going to be a warning put out against planting of anything?
Yeah, and I think again that will all be part of the report of testing that the licensed site professional is going to do. Their first concern was the water, because of the magnitude of people that will be affected. So they're doing testing there, and then they're going to continue on the soil testing, and probably what remediation, they'll need to remove all that soil wherever they find contamination, remove it, and then bring in.
But do we know, are they going to go down the shoreline and check our properties?
I think it's too early to know what they're gonna do.
Okay.
I think, like, to Joe's point, they're being very proactive in how they're handling it.
Yeah.
I think we need to be on top of it, like you mentioned, you suggested, but I think we need to let them do their thing.
Yeah, and I think the procedure would be, and I'm by no means no expert, environmental expert, but I think the procedure is they have to keep testing and expand the testing and expand it until they find no more. So they have to keep, when they find the contamination, they have to keep going out as far as they can to find out where it may have seeped beyond that ground level where it currently is. So, but I can certainly pass on to them if they will expand their search down.
Well, they're pretty good with us. They leave us notes in our mailboxes whenever they're doing something, but something like this, I mean, I know a lot of our neighbors are getting ready to get their gardens ready, and if they're going to start ripping up the shoreline, I wonder how detailed they're going to be with our shorelines.
Sure.
In the old days, they used to drain the river to a certain level and everybody would clean up. I don't know how far they're going to go, and I'd like to know.
Maybe we can get a point of contact over there, Michael?
Sure.
And they'll be all right, maybe we can give our questions if people start calling.
Sure.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The executive director, Fred Lasky, he did indicate that anything that is needed, any information, and to the point where, and I'm sure he's a busy man, but to the point where he would come out to a meeting if you needed him to be as well. So I certainly will call them and ask them to keep us updated on their plan, and also call for a contact person that town officials could use if there is specific questions.
One point, Mike, is now that the weather is nice, there are a lot of people walking down there with little kids,
Right.
and it's not fenced off. You know, there is one area fenced off by but where the fountain is, people are over there sitting on the grass and doing stuff. If they mean keep out, they need to be physically there to keep people out, and, you know.
Well, I mean, to Bob's point, sorry, Mr. Pasquale's point is, people are still using that area, and maybe there should be some signage, temporary signage.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people are aware of why it's closed, even though there's been
The
a lot.
spillway is closed off, Michael. They have that fenced off where people used to walk up to the back to go to the, because I've been doing that, and all of a sudden you can't go there now. It is fenced off.
Oh, just
But-
recently?
Yeah, but there's no sign telling you why.
Okay.
And families with young children, new people to town, are walking down there, especially now this weekend. If it's nice, there are going to be people walking down there. Yeah, there's gates that say keep out, but it doesn't, nobody's there like they used to be. You know, we had the National Guard there for the longest time, keeping people out of there. If this in fact is as cautious as they should be, they maybe should have their rangers down
Yeah,
there.
there are rangers around, yep, absolutely.
You know.
There are rangers on the watershed, yeah.
Is it it's posted? No, it's posted, right? It's not posted?
No, it is and it isn't. It's very
That's why I
vague.
suggested that point of contact.
Sure.
If we get a point of contact, as we get these type of questions, we can address it to the
Right.
point of contact and at least get some answers and some
You know,
feedback.
because if you walk down there with your dog and your dog goes close, you know.
Sure.
We can pinky signs better now.
Let you know what I find
Thank
out
you.
tomorrow.
I appreciate it.
Anything else on the board?
Sorry.
Were we gonna have that cell tower hearing? I thought that was tonight.
Mike, Joe just brought up the question of the cell tower hearing.
I thought that was continued till tonight.
No, what it was, they needed to submit a new application.
Right.
So what we had to do for them, which we just got in last week, the new application.
Yeah.
Now it has to go through the reprocess again of getting abutters notices and a hearing notice in the paper, legal notice in the paper. Plus, it would have to be distributed to the DPW, Board of Health, Planning Board, all the boards.
Okay.
So it's almost like starting anew again because it's all new information. So they did just send a express mail package last week. So this
they're
week
on it.
we'll be setting up the process to follow all the steps at this point here.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Next thing is public comment. Before we go into public comment, we will be having a brief executive session on Wiki-Piki, and then we're going to be coming out of the executive session to discuss what we talked about. So with that being said, any public comment? Anybody at all?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Mendoza?
My name is Esteban Mendoza, 104 Black Street. And I want to address this because I know you run it for Salem and my son and 3 more persons for Salem. But in the last 2 days, signs that I've been putting in town, and they can just disappear. I got a good idea who's doing it, and I hope it's going to be a clean campaign, because we don't need that in the town of Clinton. It's a disgrace. The person is destroying signs, they don't belong to them. That costs money. And I don't care who it is, I don't care how big the family is, we're going to go after that and get another plan for this, but it's a shame. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza. Any other public comment? Being none, motion to take okay.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session under Article 6, and we will be reconvening in public session
Correct, I mentioned that, yeah.
afterwards
So there's a motion to go down to Article 6.
to discuss the Wiki-Piki.
There's a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Being none, requires a roll call vote. Selectman Pasquale?
Aye.
Selectman Florentino?
Aye.
Selectman Terrell?
Aye.
And Chair votes aye. We're now in executive session.
Tonight, before the board, just have some gentlemen that'd like to speak about an issue that they've been investigating and would like to have the town consider some of their idea. One is Tom Brennan from Nestle Waters Company, and the other Jay Billings and Joe Frisch from Northeast Geoscience here in Clinton that's doing work with Nestle on this project.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. I guess you have a proposal for us and for the town of Clinton. I guess we're going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Appreciate you getting us on the agenda here tonight. My name, again, is Tom Brennan. I manage water resources for Nestle Waters North America and the Northeast region. The reason we're here tonight is because through a long and ongoing process for our company, what we do is attempt to identify and look for spring water resources to support the growth of our business. And in that effort, we've been looking throughout the Northeast region, in Massachusetts and New York and in New England generally, for such opportunities. And in this process, we begin with more or less of an academic desktop type approach, looking at geologic maps, looking for the geology that works for our kind of process. And we identified a potential opportunity in the Wiki-Piki, and to further understand the potential for that opportunity, we need at some point to get on the ground and further and more precisely understand the geology. And to that end, we also were able to identify some very good professionals located right here in Clinton, Jay Billings and Joel Frisch, to give us a hand in that regard, and their local familiarity is a good asset for us. And the next step, once we identify from the desktop, and we understand we'd like to take the next step, a very, very preliminary next step, we need to reach out to the community, and clearly the town of Clinton is the first stop in that regard. And so essentially, we're here before you this evening with an access agreement to give us the access to get on the property and do some, continue this very preliminary evaluation. Again, this is kind of a one step at a time sort of affair. There's any number of reasons why this won't work for us. But if in the end it turns out to be something that will work for our business in terms of a resource, and it's something that the town and our business can work together on, it hopefully will represent a positive relationship with the town of Clinton and Nestle Waters. So the access that I speak of is fairly non-invasive. Basically, we'd like to take a look at what's under the surface of the ground, and to do that, we'd like to do things such as drill some test wells, which would involve getting a small track-mounted drill rig to get in there and poke some holes in the ground.
It's a pretty small piece of equipment, correct?
Yeah, it's very small, and typically mounted on a bombardier, small track-mounted thing that you see used to groom snowmobile trails, that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add to that?
Go through the work plan?
We have developed a work plan that more specifically identifies the activities, and as the author of that, I'd like to turn it over to Jay here to summarize that for you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, basically the work plan involves small diameter, 2.5-inch diameter test well drilling with the drive and wash method. And the purpose of that is to determine the thickness of the deposits, the superficial deposits. We would only be drilling in unconsolidated materials like sand and gravel. And also to establish what the geometry of the deposit is, how extensive laterally it is and vertically. And then finally what the nature of those materials are in terms of degree to which they can transmit water, how coarse-grained they are, how much water we can pump out of small diameter test wells. And finally, it will allow us to collect water quality samples to evaluate what the quality of the water is. Another component of the work plan is stream gauging to quantify the stream flows in the small brooks that run through the property. And that will include, just basically a person with a handheld instrument in the stream measuring stream flows. So those are really the main components at this point. And provided that we have favorable results, we come back to you with a more, additional activities that we propose, specifically larger diameter wells that we can pump more water out of, and possibly some long-term pumping. But at this point, that's the next phase in the future.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions from the board? Joel, do you have any comments? Chris, do you have any questions for us or comments on this whole thing?
No, I did review the access agreement and the scope of work, and we're comfortable with it, and we really look forward to working with these people, and hopefully it'll be a long-term relationship.
Okay. And our solicitor has an opportunity to review it, right, Dennis? Is that correct?
Yes, myself and counsel for Nestle have worked out the final details of the access agreement today, subject to your approval and their client's approval.
Right, and you did not find anything that would put the town at risk?
No, we've made some changes and modifications to it that were acceptable to both sides to protect both parties' interest, but I'm confident that the agreement is a good, solid legal document in the best interest of the town.
Great. Any questions for the board, Bobby?
No, everything has been self-explained.
No one has any questions, comments?
Actually, there was one comment, I believe, you're going to have insurance in the amount of $3 million. If anything ever happened above and beyond $3 million, would we be covered? Would you cover that, I guess is the question.
I
know it's probably hard to go beyond $3 million, but I just want to make sure.
Well, the council's here, they could probably ask the council that.
The agreement calls for a minimum of $3 million
Minimum.
worth of coverage.
Yes.
It doesn't cap liability or exposure
Yep.
at that level. So technically, if, God forbid, something really bad happened and exceeded that, we certainly would have our recourse, but it doesn't
Yeah.
cap or limit the liability.
Yep, okay.
I would agree with
Okay, just wanted to make sure. It sounds like a really good plan.
All right. Michael, you have any concerns or comments, or?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. All right, there's no other questions from the board. What's the pleasure of the board?
I move that we move forward into an agreement with the Nestle Water Company.
Is there a second to that?
Sure, I'll second
Any
that.
discussion?
Yeah, and, on discussion, you know, we're really excited about this plan you have, and, you know, hope things work out, and glad that departments work together to make this, you know, come forward quickly, so
Yeah.
we appreciate that.
Right, I'm sorry. go ahead.
I'd like to reiterate that and say that, you know, I hope it becomes a long and fruitful relationship with Nestle. I think it'll be a win-win for everybody.
Right, and when it comes out, make sure the public understands, we're not selling the property, we're not leasing it, you know, we're just looking at it, see what we can do with this exploratory forum to find out if we can get some benefit for the town also, explore it pretty much, so, and it's a basic agreement that our solicitors looked at, our DPW superintendent looked at, so, it's all open here, and just want to thank you for bringing the presentation, and, with that being said, the motion is a second, and any further discussion? If there's none, all in favor? Aye. So the motion's passed. So gentlemen, you have approval to
Thank you.
look at
We
that.
look forward to working with you.
Thanks very much. I really appreciate this, and we'll make every effort to have a regular dialogue and keep you folks up to date on our progress.
Right, one of the biggest concerns is make sure that you run all our stuff through our DPW. What he says up there, that's his thing. So if he says we gotta stop, we have to stop. I want to be perfectly clear. And I believe that was considered in the agreement, so Chris has done a lot of work and we appreciate his efforts.
And you've got a local company in town helping you, and we think that's good.
Okay,
Thanks again.
thank you,
Thank
gentlemen.
you, sir. Have a nice trip back to Maine.
Yeah. Okay, if there will be no further other business, the motion to adjourn?
So moved.
The second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Everybody have a good evening.
They want you to sign,
Thank you.
Steve.